After the legendary return of Midas, worth refreshing your memory. Why the community was waiting for him so much. And what did he do to be so deeply imprinted in my memory? All Fortnite players. So ladies and gentlemen, stock up on popcorn and get comfortable. Now I'll tell you, why was there so much hype around the return of Midas? Where has he been all these for years? What role did he play in the plot and the story of Midas in general? In Fortnite, before diving headlong into the biography, the coolest agent in the history of Fortnite, we need to understand who Midas is anyway. And no, not our Midas. And it's about an image from ancient Greek mythology. In myths, Midas was a rich king who received from the gods the ability to convert everything is gold. Also in myths, there is one more important detail. Accidentally, a careless king turned his daughter into gold statue, and, as we learned from Jules' challenge thread and Golden Touch, our Midas suffered a similar fate. It's true that even such stories have their own happy ending. Because ultimately, King Midas manages to get rid of his curse. Now we are smoothly transported from ancient Greece during the first season of the second chapter. Many people mistakenly believe that Midas first appeared only in the Spice season, but this is fundamentally wrong. We received the first hints about a character with a golden touch towards the end of Season 1, Chapter 2. Then all the attention of the community was confined to a small mansion in the very center. Cards throughout the week. Objects here mysteriously turned into gold. And all the details pointed to the character, which at that time had not even appeared in the game. Forum files with this golden skeleton appeared long before the release of Season 2, Chapter 2, and then he became the main suspect in the Golden Island incident. Especially since the gilded imprint hinted at it, which flashed in every teaser. But we were wrong, and all those inexplicable situations in the work of Midas. In all senses, that it was not Aurum. Namely, Midas was indicated by the grandmother with the ghost which was lying on the golden toilet. Although at that time, we still did not know about therefore, ghosts were unanimously considered. This is an ego report organization because of which we have observed throughout Season 1, Chapter 2. Together with the altar organization, they will still stir things up. So we should also remember about these guys. So, together with the release of the long-awaited second season, we finally found out who was behind all this golden movement. As it turned out, a mysterious genius has arrived on the billionaire playboy philanthropist, which bought almost half of the locations, having built their bases there, a grotto shark, oil rig and yacht. And on the site of the mansion in which objects were turned into gold, a huge agency building appeared. The best spies from all over Zero gathered. Reality as it turned out. The arriving billionaire turned out to be an agent undercover, taking himself under the pseudonym Midas. Alter and Ego organization, which I mentioned above, turned into Shadow and Ghosts, having started a real war among themselves. We'll find out later that it was a brilliant theater, played by Midas. Alter and Ego acted as informants, who were gathering visions about the island. It was thanks to their work that Midas succeeded. Where is the epicenter? And believe me, the agency was built on this very spot for a reason. While we were sick with might and most like organization, Midas is like a real evil genius, worked hard on his plan. And towards the end of the season, we realized what after the final event in Season X, when the Seven successfully blew up the epicenter, 0 Point is alive and well. And what is most important is deep under the agency. For this alone, Midas can be considered sensual, the most brilliant character in the history of all of Fortnite. Not only did he manage to fool us, so all this time, he successfully led the Order of the Noose by the nose, the most dangerous organization in the universe. In fact, it was the Order of the Loop that created the Battle Royale, which endlessly restarts on our island. If for us, this is just another skating rink, then for all characters, which we choose from the locker, it's a loopy time loop, upon completion of which all memory is erased. Later when the MPSTER mode came out, we were able to find out what exactly did Oprah do on the island. Order algorithms control loot falling out of chests, storm circles, and much more, including even the battle bus driver. You can also say that it was they who managed the item store after all. We learn it from comics. What exactly? The Order pulls beings from different universes into like it happened with Batman. So we need to say thank you for the new skins, the Order of the Loop, but what's most important, the Order of the Loop could control the loop. Those who have been with us recently, most likely you haven't even heard of this concept. But the plot was practically tied to this phenomenon. 3 eyes in super simple words. Then the loop is a storm, which gradually covers the island and every 22 minutes. When the very last loop remains alive, ranked so-called top 1. Reset occurs. The card is restored. Loop reloads. And loopers lose their memory. True, now all these topics are no longer particularly relevant. Chapter 3. When the 7 finally defeated the Order, the loop seems to have been destroyed, and the island was freed from the power of Sloane and Jean. But at the time, when Midas was developing his plan, it was victory over the loop that was his main goal. And if this happened, then every inhabitant of the island could regain his memory, and the endless cycle of the Battle Royale would be broken. So we almost got into trouble on the island. Civil war between Shadow and Ghost. Midas with his daughter Jules developed a device, Doomsday, which was supposed to break the loop once and for all. As we will find out later, at the Order of the Loop. After all, there were daddies with dossiers on these but the Order was so busy dismantling the Shadow and the Ghost that he let Midas out of his control. Because during the 2nd season, it happened. A huge variety of events on the island. Newly built oil rig, already after a couple of weeks, was destroyed as a result of being captured by a shadow, just like Groot, on which a giant skull later appeared. Midas' yacht was captured by Deadpool. And about the war between teddy bears and more about the story with the red Ferrari, I won't say like anything at all. In general, there was plenty of movement on the island at that time. And for this reason, the Order of the Loop missed. What did Midas actually prepare? During the last weeks of Season 2, we watched how the Doomsday device gradually activated. And in Midas' room it appeared more and more interesting details. Like a strange book, from which we could learn more about the purpose. The unit was actually his drawing. Or a mysterious suit, which Midas borrowed from the storm, later having modified it a little. It seems that with the help of this armor, it was possible to survive the impact of the storm, and considering that Midas was actually in the very epicenter of events, it was impossible to do without such protection. And finally, at the final event of the season, completely destroying the agency, Doomsday device exploded. Midas's plan was about to come true, but something went wrong. The unit came out of control, and to save the loop, the Order decided to completely flood the island. It would seem nothing. You can take revenge, especially since Midas managed to inflict huge damage to the Order's security system. But here, he met his fatal enemy, the Shark, which effectively completed the story arc. This character. Then Midas appeared only once in an event in Fortnite, Halloween Nightmares 2020. It's hard to call this comeback story-driven. It was more like an alternative version of Midas himself, which after death turned into a shadow and returned to the island to take revenge. Despite that the Caruvan event itself can be named among the best in the history of the window, but it is here that the fate of Midas actually put an end to it. Although probably not the point, and the ellipsis, because the then creative director, Donald Master, hinted to us from time to time that the legendary character will return to the plot. Anyway, next time, we will hear Amidasi only in 3 years. And that was a cameo, not a super spy who bent over the Order of the Noose and his hands, which was successfully chopped off by a vampire collector of cat eaters. Although at that time the entire community, including me, that Midas is about to return and show everyone again how to make history. And now it finally happened. Why do I think that this is the last appearance of Midas in Fortnite? If you carefully read the post of epics dedicated to Midas, then you can see a very interesting line there. Help Midas escape from the island. I think the current creative director of Epic Games, Charlie Ben, understood what to build Midas in a new storyline. It will be quite difficult, but also leave the arch, this character, open is also very stupid. especially considering the community's love for the Golden King. We see. Therefore, it was decided to hold a thematic event where we finally find out what happened to Midas in the last 4 years. But as they say, kings don't make forever. So even such characters like Midas, sooner or later they retire. On the other side, maybe it's for the better, because we won't have to guess anymore. Will our favorite hero return or not? Hence I think that Midas should give out a giant press F and send him on a further voyage. At the time of recording the video, this is just my theory. I'd probably be glad to be wrong, but it seems to me, let it be better for Midas to proudly leave the hype they began to milk him from season to season until he specifically gets everyone. If you like this character, and it doesn't matter when, at least in the distant 12th season, at least even now, support this video by liking or reposting, because not everyone knows about it. That in Fortnite, besides Jonesy, there are others no less and more interesting characters. But with the legendary golden-armed anti-hero, looks like it's time to say goodbye.